Advertised in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call.
Mr. Cathers?
Here.
Ms. Jackson?
Present.
Ms. Trueblood?
Present.
Ms. Stinney?
Present.
Mr. Allen?
Here. This meeting is now called to order. Closed session resolution number 216-2015 authorizes council to go into closed session. Council, we do have a personnel grievance matter. Are there any other issues that should be added to closed session? Administration? That's it. Is there a motion to approve resolution 216-2015 personnel grievance?
It's also under the attorney-client. The grievance, the reason for going to close would also be under attorney-client, related to the same thing.
Okay. Is there a motion?
A motion.
Second. Amy, please poll the council.
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Mr. Cathers?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Ms. Stinney?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Council will now go into closed session and return at approximately...
Delay that there was a serious motor vehicle accident on Magnolia Road. Apparently power's out in Lake Valley section at this time, but our emergency services are handling that, and I don't know if, I believe the chief may have went out there also, I'm not positive. He was here a minute ago, but he informed me of this, and he's no longer here, so
Okay.
we could do the presentation without them if you'd like, but I think the chief would like to be here.
Okay, that's
All
fine.
right, thank you.
Okay. I'll just use this time to remind the residents that on Saturday from 10 to 1 o'clock at Imagination Kingdom, there will be a fire prevention expo, and that's this Saturday. Consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine by the Township Council and will be enacted by one motion. Should a council member wish to discuss a consent agenda item separately, that item can be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the regular agenda. Council.
I do have items on the consent agenda I would like to discuss. They total $162,612.40. It's item number 218-2015, 222-2015, 223-2015, 224-2015, and 229-2015.
Okay, Dr. Cathers indicated that he would like those items pulled, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Council, are there any other items? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended?
I make the motion to approve the consent agenda as amended. I second to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Amy, can you please poll the council?
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Ms. Stinney?
Yes.
Mr. Cathers?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Resolution number 218-2015.
Thank you. We had discussed, a question of refund and tax overpayment in the amount of $826.99. Is it
Excuse me,
permissible-
Council President, just a point of order. I thought the residents go first, or maybe I'm slipping. And then we come back.
It's not listed on the agenda.
What's not a list?
The public comment period?
No, for them to talk about the... Huh? To talk about the agenda?
It's not listed on the agenda. If there are questions about that, then I will discuss that when we reach public comment. Dr. Cathers, number 218-2015.
Interesting. That was an interesting conversation just there with public comments. Because I myself was expecting that. 218-2015. In the amount of, one moment please. In the amount of $826.99, authorized refund of tax overpayment to Wells Fargo, Block 678, Lot 13. Do I have permission to talk with the,
Absolutely.
Dennis? Dennis, can we discuss that, please?
Yes, sir.
On 218, would you explain why Wells Fargo is receiving an $826.99 overpayment?
There were duplicate tax payments made for the third quarter, and so the amount that was due to the township was $826.99. Wells Fargo essentially paid it twice, so they have requested that we refund one of the payments since they paid twice the amount that they were required to pay on behalf of the property owner.
Doesn't not that money usually be put forward to the next tax payment?
What we would normally do is apply it to the next tax payment, but if the taxpayer or the servicing agent for the taxpayer requests that it be refunded because of the mistake, we're required to refund it.
So there's really no financial loss in the township because it's going to be gained the next tax quarter?
Well, there's no financial loss because it was money that was paid in error.
That's fine. Well, thank you very much for that explanation. 222-15.
Dr. Cathers.
My apologies.
Before you go on to the next, if you're okay with the explanation, then typically you would move that resolution for approval.
That was a point of excitement.
Before you get on to the next
A
one.
human nature. And who does the next?
Well, the council.
Is there a motion to approve resolution number 218-2015?
I motion to approve resolution 218, 2015.
Is there a second?
Second.
Amy, please poll the council.
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Mr. Cathers?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Ms. Stinney?
No, and I'll tell you the reason why I'm saying no. This is the first time I think I can remember that public has never had an input before we went through the consent agenda, the resolutions here. A lot of times I kind of like rely on listening to the public with the agenda resolutions. So, first time, I don't know. Can I ask the question? I might change my mind, but I have this right to now to answer the question. Andy, is this a normal? I mean, how did this come about? I don't want to not say no to my resolutions.
We're in the middle of a vote.
I want to say yes. I understand. That's why I'm
Well, we
asking
already approved the other
the
consent
question.
agenda items, aside from the items that Dr. Cathers pulled.
Andy, could you answer that question for me legally?
Well, you're not legally required. I could just answer it by saying you're not legally required to have two public comment sections in this agenda.
Okay, I understand. Okay. It just overslipped my mind. I guess I'm gonna have to go through this agenda really with a fine-tooth comb. I don't know why that happened, but yeah, I'm shocked. First time ever. Is it the first time? Amy, is it the first time? No.
We haven't always had public comment at the beginning. That started
We never discussed resolutions from the public. I'm just shocked.
first
That's all.
time in a while, but we haven't always
I'm
had
patient.
that.
I closed my mouth. I'm just. Excuse me.
I said I'm patient. Please continue. I'm interested.
Andy, is there something that you need to say to me? I'm still on this resolution 218.
Is there a motion to approve resolution number...
Well, there was a motion, there was a second, and then with this, I guess, Councilwoman Stinney's question
voted no
came
in
in her
her
vote.
question.
I don't want people to think that I don't want bills paid or anything like that. I want that to go on the record. I definitely want that to go on the record, okay? And there's some other things that you pulled as well, so let's see.
Okay.
She didn't vote.
Who's
She didn't
next?
vote. You, Mr. Allen.
Oh, yes.
Oh, so you were, okay, so I should take my no, okay.
Resolution number 222-2015.
Okay, 22-2015. One moment, please.
Wow.
Let's focus on the
Wow.
purchase of playground equipment for Country Lakes environment,
Yes,
and
it's a grant.
this particular grant, realizing that it's a grant, we need to pay for this first and then pay the grant back. Is this the process that's used for acquiring a grant for this type of a?
It's a reimbursement grant, and we can submit, once we reach, I believe, 50%, we can submit for that reimbursement, and then continue on paying for the second half of the grant, and then get reimbursed for that.
And the only way that we would be awarded this contract of $74,273.19 is for us to have that amount of finance within our budget, and then the state will reimburse us. Is that correct?
Well, it's not money, it's money that's in the budget, but it's our cash flow.
Correct.
It's we use our cash flow and allocate it in terms of the accounting to the grant. Then once we expend the money, we will seek reimbursement from, in this case, Burlington County, from the 2014 grant that we received.
What is the period of time that the county repays us? Once we complete half, as the mayor said, do they pay us within 2 weeks, 1 month, 3 months into our budget, or does that just vary?
It's timely. It's not a long period that we have to wait once we submit. The review's already been done. Basically, they've approved the project, and as long as we submit the work within the project approvals, they pay us in a timely fashion. And the projects have to be done within, they're scheduled to be 2-year projects, up to 2 years.
Okay, and I see. So this was from the capital fund. It comes out of the capital fund and then it's returned to the capital fund. Is that correct?
It doesn't come from the capital fund. We have cash flow, and we pay for this from our cash flow, but the accounting is for the grant, because the grant is in the budget as a revenue. So we pay for it, and then when we get reimbursed, then we've gotten reimbursed, and essentially means that the grant funds have been used to make the purchase.
Your explanations are acceptable. Thank you. I appreciate that. And my next move is?
Is there a motion to approve Resolution 222-2015?
A forward motion to approve 222-2015.
I'll second the motion to approve 222-215.
Amy,
2015. Sorry.
Amy, please poll the council.
Mr. Cathers?
Yes.
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Ms. Stinney?
While I would, before I take my vote, I would have loved to have heard from the public, and a lot of times I listen to them and I make my decisions on them, and I fully understand the resolution on 222-2015, and I fully support that, but I would have loved to have heard from the residents. I said I fully support it. What do I need else to say? Yes or no? Fully support? Don't support? Will you?
I did not catch the complete statement, so I apologize.
Okay, well, I'll start again. I fully support Resolution 222-2015 again, as I wanted to hear from the public, which I won't get their opinion on this resolution. If you want me to say yes, my vote is yes on this, and I fully support that.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. 223.
223. This is a reference to utility body truck with a snowplow. And this, if I am not mistaken, this is an F4250 4x4 utility, which is, we know it as a workman's truck with a snowplow for $34,848.50. And this money is part of the bond that we have passed in reference to the capital improvements with the asphalt, etc.
That's correct, Dr. Cathers. That's Ordinance 15-2015, and that is the funding authorization for the purchase of this vehicle. This was one of the vehicles listed in that bond ordinance.
This does not include the larger dump truck, which would be like a 32 cubic yard dump truck for carrying the asphalt.
No, there will be other items coming to council in the next couple of meetings as well.
And this does not include the two dump bodies, which were really nice aluminum dump bodies.
No, that was approved from a different source of funding by council.
All right, thank you very much, and I'll accept that. Thank you. I forward a motion to approve Resolution 223-2015.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Amy, please poll the council.
Mr. Cathers?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Ms. Stinney?
While I supported the resolution, I would still also have liked to have heard from the residents on their opinion, and I know that they have said many things in regards to the resolution before it was approved. So with that being said, I just wanted to make sure that I'm on the record that I do support that, and my vote is yes for that resolution.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. 224.
224-2015, in reference to a protective vest for the police force. This is a cost of $13,395.32. The question that I have is, how many vests does this include, and is these vests a replacement, or are they addendums to what we have?
Yeah, I don't have an exact number of the vests, but they roughly cost about $1,000 a piece. But I should just make sure that the council has, in previous meetings, approved the purchase of the vests. The vests have already been purchased, and vests need to be replaced every generally 5 to 7 years, sometimes a little bit more depending on its usage. What this is essentially an accounting that is required by the state of New Jersey. When we receive a grant after the budget for a year has been adopted, the grant has to be what's called inserted into the budget as both revenue coming in and an expenditure going out, and we need to adopt a council resolution requesting permission from the Division of Local Government Services of the state of New Jersey to insert that item into the already approved budget. That's what this resolution does.
Thank you. Any questions? I forward a motion to approve 224-2015.
Is there a second?
Second.
Amy, please poll the council.
Mr. Cathers?
Yes.
Mrs. Stinney?
Yes, and thank you, Mr. Gonzalez, for that explanation, which is truly needed.
Mrs. Trueblood?
Yes.
Mrs. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Resolution number 229-2015.
Thank you. This is federal money for the housing rehabilitation program.
Yes, this is an allotment from I believe it was last year, from the Small Cities Community Development Block Grant Program, which is federal money. And the money is used for the specific purpose of providing funding for low and moderate income property owners who meet income guidelines established by the federal government for repairs to major systems in their homes. It's program that is actually managed day to day by the county on our behalf. And once they determine the eligibility of a particular application and a project, then it comes to our Department of Community Development, who then prepares a resolution to bring to you. The resolution that you have before you has as backup all of the information with regard to the contractor and the specific work that's going to be done at this eligible home.
Who is responsible for the initial application?
The individuals apply, and they apply directly to the county, and the county evaluates the applications, inspects the properties, determines what needs to be done in the properties to get them code compliant, etc., or more habitable than they are, and then evaluates the information provided by the applicants with respect to their income and assets in order to determine whether they meet the federal income eligibility guidelines.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I forward a motion to accept Resolution 229-2015.
I'll second that.
Amy, please poll the council.
Mr. Cathers?
Yes.
Ms. Stinney?
Yes.
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Okay, before we move on to ordinances for introduction, I'd just like to address something. Ms. Stinney whispered politics as a way to basically say someone on council is playing politics, probably me, the council president.
No, that's not exactly what I said, Mr. President.
I'd just like to provide some clarification. The public comment period that's usually at the beginning of the meeting.
Point of order, Mr. Attorney.
It was...
I'm sorry?
Point of order, Mr. Attorney.
Yes?
Okay. I want to be clear on what I said because this is on for the record. So I said politics.
Okay.
Okay. It didn't say that we're playing politics here because I certainly do not hope that this council is playing any kind of politics here with the residents or any other. And I thank you for that point of order, Attorney.
Okay, I'll get back to my clarification. It was an error on my part. An attempt to have a more efficient meeting because the public comments have been so lengthy. I had Amy do some research. Some of the public comments were upwards of 80% of our meetings. So I instructed Amy to take off the public comment period because by law you're only required to have one. I instructed her to do that, forgetting that there usually is a public comment period before the consent agenda resolution items. Now, that being said, I welcome public comments. I always have. Prior to me being president for the town council this year, it said consent agenda resolution items only. Consent agenda resolution items only. At the start of the year, I opened it up so the public could comment on the entire agenda. So again, it was an error on my part. It wasn't done intentionally. And at the next meeting, there will be a consent agenda resolution period where the public can comment on again.
Mr. President, may I say something?
I hope that provides some clarification. I'm sorry about that.
Mr. President, may I say something, please? Okay. I understand exactly what you're saying and mistakes are made, and I do want to apologize to my public that, Mr. President, a lot of times I kind of like to listen to the public, and sometimes it changes my mind and sometimes it doesn't change my mind. And that's the only intent that I had here tonight, and it certainly was not the politics. Okay? Thank you, sir.
And Dr. Cathers, I know you said you were concerned about that. I hope that provided some clarification for you. It wasn't not done intentionally.
Slightly, yes.
Ordinance number 16-2015, ordinances for introduction. This ordinance is a bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements to the water utility, including but not limited to the reconstruction and repair of well number 11, by and in the township of Pemberton, in the county of Burlington, state of New Jersey, the township, appropriating $1 million therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $900,000 in bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof. Council, is there any comments on ordinance number 16-2015?
One moment.
And as we know, this is well number 11 by Stackhouse School, which currently has radium.
Mr. President, if I might,
Sure.
the township in previous actions has authorized our office to prepare plans and specifications, reports, and applications to the New Jersey Infrastructure Trust Fund in order to remove the radium from the inactive well at well number 11. The purpose of this ordinance is to provide the initial funding, but that will be replaced by permanent funding through the New Jersey Infrastructure Trust. At the present time, our application stands third in line for principal reimbursement. By that, I mean that there is a portion of the $750,000 plus interest plus soft costs that can be reimbursed through this program because we have a well contamination problem. They are the contamination problem. They are the primary things that the Infrastructure Trust tries to give you principal reimbursement. The state has now is now providing some interim financing also, so that we can spend the money, if you would, issue the contracts, spend parts of the money, and on a monthly basis get that money back at no interest, because until we go to permanent financing. The objective of this is to ensure that the township has, one, potable water. Obviously, that's the primary purpose. Secondly, we have something called a firm source capacity, which is the ability of the township water system to provide the maximum day of water supply to the residents and businesses with one of the sources out of service. This gives us a lot more capacity in order to meet that firm source capacity in order to, in the event that we have development in the township that we want, we don't have to turn it away because we don't have that capacity. Generally speaking, what we're doing is building a modest 1,000 square foot architectural block building. Nothing really fancy, but enough to, it's not a concrete block building, something a little better than that, which is climate controlled and has radium treatment units, and along with that there would be a 5-year contract, outside contract, to monitor and change out the media, because we want to make sure we protect our workers. When you're removing radioactive material, that has to be done in a certain fashion. As I said, we are third in line there. As long as projects 1 and 2 don't take all the money, and I don't believe that they will, that we may get 20 to 30% is what I would hope. Well, I think we would get up to 50% of the total cost of this project. This is we have done this in Bill 7 towns, I think. Vineland, Hamilton, Winslow, Newfield, Bridgeton, and Millville. So the process is known and the process is well-founded. And we have all of the approvals, so you have made that initial investment for the design plan specifications and we expect to hear from the Department of Environmental Protection within the next 60 to 90 days to have authorization to go out to bid. This is first reading on this issue, so it's first reading. You will have a second reading, I guess at the second meeting of the month, where there will be a public hearing. I just thought before you ventured into this type of project, I felt you deserved an explanation of where we're going, what we're doing, and why we're doing it.
Thank you, Mr. Raymond.
Thank you. Thank you.
Council, are there any comments?
Yeah, I just want to address, first of all, let me just say it is just so nice to look over there and see you here this evening. I thank you for coming in and giving us an explanation, because some of these, I can tell you right now, and I'll say to the public on the record, that I do not fully understand until you bring that forward, and with the rule that we should not be talking to our professionals unless we have permission through there. I am just humbled and grateful that you came here this evening to give me at least, a little more insight on well number 11. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Raymond.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to introduce ordinance number 16-2015?
I for the motion to introduce ordinance number 16-2015.
I'll second.
Amy, please poll the council.
Mr. Cathers?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Ms. Stinney?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Ordinance number 17-2015. Ordinance of the Township of Pemberton and the County of Burlington, State of New Jersey, the Township providing for a special emergency appropriation in an amount not to exceed $750,000 to fund the preparation and execution of a complete program of re-evaluation of real property in the township. Council, are there any comments?
Yes. This is required by state law.
Yes.
This is required by state law, and more immediately an order that we have received, and I believe council has also received a few months ago, from the county tax board. The county tax board is the authority to determine when all properties in any of the municipalities in the county have to be revalued, reassessed, and they have ordered that this be done and needs to start to happen soon. We'd have to put out bids for a company to do. Basically, every property in the township that is taxable will be inspected, measured, evaluated, and reassessed for tax year 2017, and this is a process that will take, needs to be completed by, I believe it's October of 2016.
And that's for the entire township to include houses?
It's all taxable property in the township of Pemberton.
And if we don't comply, what happens?
We would be in violation of a lawful order of the tax board, and they could sue us.
Okay.
Big trouble.
We wouldn't really have much of a defense either.
No, our equalization rate is, I believe, at 60.25.
And it should be at 100.
It will be at 100 after this revaluation.
Would you kindly explain what the reevaluation rate of homes that value with that 60% factor?
Well, it's basically there is a assessed value of real property, and then there's the market value. With our equalization rate being, let's say, 60%, it's a little bit more, 60.25. Equalization rate is 60. That means, as an example, that if you have, let's say you have a house that is assessed, a property that is assessed at $60,000. That means in the current environment, that $60,000 assessment is for a house that has a market value of $100,000. That means that houses and properties of that kind, even though it's assessed at 60, are selling in the township for $100,000. That's what that means. And the revaluation is intended to bring all properties to 100%, so to have the assessed value equal the market value, which is 100%. And then once that is done by a company that is certified and approved to do this sort of work by the state of New Jersey, then a new tax rate will be cut that will apply to these properties. So the assessed value of properties, some assessed value of some properties will go up, some assessed values of properties will go down as they try to level off the value throughout the township, and then the rate at which it's paid will then be adjusted so that the same amount of tax revenue is collected. This is not a way to collect more money, so the rate will be adjusted. So generally speaking, it's the same property tax bills. The amounts will generally be the same.
Thank you.
Can I ask Dennis a question? Dennis, are you aware, this is just off the top of my head, and speaking with, I think it's Isha and Randy Brown, they started their assessment. Do you know how far we are, or how many towns have? Normally they place that out in the paper and that sort of stuff. Going through assessments.
I believe there are a handful of towns that have been ordered as we have. Maybe it's 3 or 4.
Okay.
The 3 or 4 did it last year, and it all depends on where those numbers are.
Okay.
Truth is that we could have been ordered to do it a couple of years ago. So.
Thanks for that explanation.
Is there a motion to introduce ordinance number 17-2015?
I'll introduce ordinance 17, 2015.
Is there a second?
I'll second it. With a public hearing when?
October 21st.
October 21st.
Amy, please poll the council.
Mrs. Trueblood?
Yes.
Mrs. Steen?
Yes.
Mr. Cathers?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Before we move on to ordinances for second reading, I see the fire chief is back, so we'll go ahead and do the proclamation by the mayor for Fire Prevention Week.
While he comes forward, you gonna put a suit on this year, Jason?
We'll get...
Jason. Are you gonna put a fire suit on this year?
Not this year.
Not this year, okay.
Again, we're here to recognize
He looks so shocked.
outstanding service that our volunteer firefighters do here in this town, and firefighters across the country. For the paid or volunteer service that they provide, EMS service is provided by our volunteers. Second to none. That being said, and these guys are out on the job now. They're out. There's probably rarely a day goes by when they're not out on a call. And it's a very serious call that they're out on now. So these guys do a tremendous job, and they continue to do that, guys and gals, without hesitation. So that being said, this week is Fire Prevention Week, Fire Awareness Week. It is done so that we can bring a message to the public and continue to make people aware. The fire service does this each year at this time, but they do it throughout the year. These guys are doing it in November here all the time for our residents, bringing to light the things that will help save lives. And these things not only save the lives of our residents, they also save the lives of our firefighters. Because by following the safety procedures that are set by the fire department and the firefighters, you now reduce the risk of that firefighter that's rushing to that call because now they hear someone's inside, and they have to go inside for the rest. They fight the fire differently. This saves firefighters' lives. Face it, we know it happens. It's a very sad thing when it does, but we can do our part to help our firefighters. And the proclamation that I have here today, there's copies on the back here if anyone wishes to have a copy. It is on our webpage, and it goes into describing the amount of fires that have been reported through the National Fire Protection Association, fire departments across the country that have killed in 2013 over 2,700 people, and the firefighters have responded to over 369,000 fires across the country. It's just house fires, not counting all the forest fires that go on, the industrial fires, and things that they do along with fighting the fires in our homes. And it emphasizes how to cut the risk of people dying by being sure that you have smoke alarms that work, that you check your smoke alarm. We do this time of year because it's significant to change batteries in your smoke alarm, but we always forget. So associating that to something like time change. When we change your batteries in your clock, you turn the clock back or you turn it ahead, change the batteries in your smoke alarm. If we get that association to something significant that we do anyway, then maybe we will remember to do that, and hopefully will save a life. And then it also goes into when these fires occur, and I found the statistics interesting that half the fires, the deaths in home fires occur in a third of the time of the day, between 11 and 7, less than a third, 8 hours of the day, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. is when most of this occurs, 1/3 of the day, the deaths are occurring in these fires. And for some reason, we're generally asleep at that time. And if you don't have those fire alarms, sounding off, then you're probably not going to wake up in time to survive that. So, it's important. That's why it is so important to have these alarms. And the emphasis in this year's report is to put these alarms in every room where you sleep, outside of every room where you sleep, because that's where it seems to be the most, dangerous fires when people are dying from. So we need to get that alarm to the people who can't hear it at that time. So again, with that, the slogan this year is "Hear the beat where you sleep." Very simple. That's what they're pushing. It makes good sense, to have it there. Bedrooms need a working fire alarm. Therefore, I, David A. Betts, elected mayor of the Township of Pemberton, do hereby proclaim October 4th through the 10th, 2015 as Fire Prevention Week. Throughout this township, I've heard all the people of Pemberton to install smoke alarms in every bedroom, outside each sleeping area, and on every level of the home, including the basement, and to support the many public safety activities and efforts of Pemberton Fire and Emergency Services during Fire Prevention Week. And as Jason said, we do have the activities going on this weekend over here at Imagination Kingdom, where the fire department will be out there and doing displays and informational tables and so forth, where they can continue to get the message out there. So Chief, on behalf of the township, I thank you, and please extend that to the rest of your team, every member you have. Thank you, sir.
I have a question.
Good job, Craig.
Mr. Chief, I have a question. Where's the listing of the schools? Are you still going to the schools like you used to do years ago?
Yes, ma'am. We're in tomorrow. We've got half completed
Decided by the Superior.
classes tomorrow, and then I think we finish up on Friday.
What school?
I'm not sure.
Oh, I was going to say, can I call you? Dave, could you find out for me? I'll call here.
I can find out.
But you let Dave know?
Absolutely.
Because I normally, I kind of,
I'll text you.
Complaining that we went.
I'm retired now,
I have a question too. What's the number one cause of fires?
Residential cooking.
What is it?
What is
Good catch.
residential cooking?
Residential cooking?
We've been very blessed here. We had a last week out that was 3,000%. Very unfortunate young child. So we've been out there putting a message out to the centers of our community, supporting that message. That's
Oh,
contributing to it. So
residential cooking.
if I could, just for a second, there is some literature on the back table. I encourage you to take some home, get a lot of stuff. Our municipality supports us 110%, not only in our suppression efforts, but also our prevention efforts. So, and it's a great time. Saturday, we have a nice big bouncy house. You got to try that out. You got a kid now.
Yeah, he got to put the suit on.
You got to put the
It's,
suit on.
yeah, it's
Got
not...
that house ready for you. I hope you see everybody there.
Yeah,
Thank
good.
you for your support.
Thank you very much.
Thank you and your team for all of your hard work. Okay.
Mr. President, before the chief leaves, I just want to say that, as you are well aware, we have significant dam projects in the Country Lakes area. While my team was getting ready to contact Public Works, the chief had already lowered the water in the lakes, had moved ahead, went through the action plan perfectly to a T, along with Mr. Sager. So we want you to be aware that some people, without the priding of anybody, are on the ball and ahead of us. Thank you.
I guess he
Okay.
can get that over to you. You can email down.
Moving on.
It's you in the morning.
Okay.
Ordinance.
No rush.
Ordinances for second reading, public hearing and/or adoption. This ordinance number 6-2015 was tabled from the March 4th, 2015 meeting, which at that same meeting there was already a public comment.
Public hearing.
I'm sorry, a public hearing, which essentially was public comment as well.
Right, yes.
Right.
It's a more technical term.
And this ordinance is an ordinance of the Township of Pemberton amending Chapter 41 of the Code of the Township of Pemberton entitled Police Department. Council, is there any discussion before the vote?
Well, can I just, Andy, I want to direct you, please?
Yes, Councilwoman.
Okay. First of all, I want to thank you very much for spending countless hours with me on the last go-round. Thank you for today for some explanations on this as well, clarification as well. So I just want to publicly say thank you to you for the explanations.
You're welcome.
I guess I should be thanking you as well.
No problem. That's why I'm here.
I do have comment. I was looking forward to the public comments. Our citizens do have a right to speak even more than just once or twice. However, that's been explained why it is not here. I've researched much of this. I've asked questions concerning the chief and the director, the qualifications for the various individuals within the ordinance. I've had, with satisfaction, I've had the peace of mind to be able to understand that much of this, although I do not understand everything because I am new in this, I was dropped into this for the last meeting. So when I do vote, I need to vote with reluctance. I would have enjoyed listening to the individual comments, because this is their taxpayers and these people do need to voice themselves prior to it. I realize that some of the comments are going to be redundant from the taxpayers, but they still have a right for it. So that's the only comment that I have.
Mr. Cavendish, did you get the chance to review the March 4th
I did.
minutes?
I reviewed everything.
Okay.
I was very diligent in what I was doing. I feel comfortable, but I still like to listen to people talk because I did not have that opportunity to listen to the first comments. That's the only reason why I'm saying what I'm doing. And that's my comment.
Okay.
Well, Mr. President, maybe I could, since he said that, and, and I was on and on with I like to hear from the public, because I, just like you, Mr. Cathers, I like hearing from the public as well. As I said before, it's not that I always do exactly what you said, because I'm out in the community, and I hear from many people. However, on this, before I met with Andy, okay.
I'm just running a note to myself.
Okay. Before I met with Andy to get some clarification on that, I do like to hear from the public. And we have done this before, asked the council if we would, open it up for maybe 5 minutes, just to hear what maybe some of the public has to say. I don't know. It's up to you, Council President, if you would just maybe open it up so Mr. Cathers would be able to, hear just a little bit for
Mr. Cathers,
5 minutes.
That decision is strictly up to you.
Yeah, and you indicated that you read through the minutes.
I did.
I believe there is an audio on the website.
Given the audio.
Oh, and you indicated that you were given the audio?
I was given the audio. I've also accessed the website, and I'm very pleased with the website. That decision would be up to you for a...
I thought it was up to the council. Is it up to the council, Andy? Can you hear me?
Up to a majority of the council.
Okay, majority of the council. Okay.
Well, that's fair then.
Well, that's fair. Yeah, because I don't have a problem. I mean, we limit it to 5 minutes. I mean, they are taxpayers, just like you said, Mr. Cathers, and I do like hearing from them. Sometimes I don't, but I think it would be only fair, if there's like a group or something we used to do on the school board, if there's a group and, you all were going to address the same issue, the same thing, have one representative or whatever. But I don't have a problem with 5 minutes for the public. I don't believe in, hush-hushing.
Well, we're not hush-hushing.
Well, maybe that's the wrong word.
I just don't want to make it seem like, council does not like hearing from the public. On the agenda, it indicates this was tabled from the March 4th, 2015 meeting. We already had a public hearing. I went back and looked at the meeting minutes, and the reason why it was tabled was to allow council members to perform additional research.
So
we did already hear from the public.
Mr. Cathers was not here at that time. That's the only thing
However,
I'm saying.
I did do the
out of respect. I understand.
Yeah, I did do additional research, and
I understand.
The respect toward the president and toward the decisions that he has made, I will stand behind him and his decisions.
I understand.
The comments. But we can make comments, doing personal comments after the unit is finished. So I do stand behind the president's decision.
No, I'm just saying, before we take the vote, that's why I said what I said during the time of the resolutions that were being called for, an okay. At least we get an opportunity to, and I'm not trying to be hard. Listen.
I agree with you.
And I'm not trying to throw stones or anything like that. I believe in listening to people. I listen to people all the time. I mean, a majority of some of my decisions are made by listening to the people. Family members, council members. I'm just saying, I know that you were not here, and out of respect for you, I mean, what harm would it be? That's all I'm saying. What harm would it be? To me...
Council President?
I have no problem with
Okay.
this.
Y'all, go ahead.
Council President, may I?
Sure.
I think that, like Council President said, we did talk about this back in March. It was tabled. My first initial vote for it was yes, and then when we tabled it, I tabled it to hear from, after we heard from the residents, and to look into it more. I think we are ready to vote on this tonight. I understand what Ms. Stinney is saying, but Dr. Cathers has more than said that he is prepared to vote. He said he read it, he listened to the tapes, and he is prepared to vote. Unless anyone here thinks their vote will be different, I don't see the reason to postpone it yet again. And that's just my opinion.
Okay, Mr. President, and I respect your opinion, Ms. Jackson. Again, I was looking at this for Mr. Cathers, Dr.
He's already
Cathers.
made it clear he's ready. He's prepared.
I understand what he said, but I also thought what he was saying is that he also would have loved to hear from the public. Again, after all, quote unquote, they are taxpayers.
Perhaps we should just have a vote on it then.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
Are we going to be voting on,
Just voting
Yeah,
on it,
okay.
if we will open it up again to the public
is
for
there
5
a motion
minutes.
to adopt ordinance number
Wait.
6-2015?
I have a question.
Jason, you had a question?
Wait, you need
You
a,
had a question?
if you want to even raise questions about the substance of the ordinance, you should get a motion in a second to get it on the table, and then we could have all the discussion you want.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ian.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt ordinance number 6-2015?
Yes, I make the motion to adopt ordinance number 6, 2015.
I second.
Amy, please
Sorry,
poll.
was that?
Dr.
I
Cathers?
second.
Okay.
Raise questions or comments. You had any questions? You had questions, Dr. Cathers?
At this point, no, I do not have questions at this
Okay.
time.
Amy, please poll the council.
Mrs. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Cathers?
Yes.
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Ms. Stinney?
As I voted back before, I voted no, and I still would have loved to have heard what the residents said. So that's for my record. And out of the respect for you, Mr. Cathers, Dr. Cathers, I know that, you've read an awful lot and have studied the tapes and that sort of thing. And again, Andy, the questions that I still have arose out of respect. I would still cast my vote as no.
This was very difficult. However, I still support the yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Moving on, discussion of planning board and zoning board recommendations for the GCLI zone code changes. Before we get started, I just want to,
Understand?
before we get started, I just want to say that I did reach out to David Benedetti, the Director of Community Development, about this for an explanation and just some added input. The areas included on this were originally set up to be business zones, but they are homes in these districts. These amendments will allow those homes to be able to expand, such as add a pool or add an addition to a house without having to come in to apply for a variance application. We've typically been approving them anyway, Mr. Benedetti said. So this is designed to just make it easier for the homeowners in these districts to expand without going to the zoning board. Council, is there any discussion about this?
No.
No discussion.
And I did get administration's approval to speak to Mr. Benedetti. Yes, I did. Is there any discussion?
No.
Okay, so if we're all in agreement, the next step would be to adopt an ordinance, or at least be presented with an ordinance, correct?
If you're in agreement, then an ordinance could either come, I guess, from the solicitor office and be presented for introduction
We'll work with the planner
with the planner.
to get a draft to council at the next meeting.
And the planner did provide those recommendations.
Yeah.
Okay. Solicitor's report.
Yes, I have two matters for the public this evening. I wanted to update council and the public on two matters that have recently gone to court. Pemberton has kept me fairly busy over the last month. The first matter is related to Andy's Auto Repair. That's one of your companies that was awarded a contract for towing services. And Andy's, there was a call within the last month or so. the way the contract works is there's 2 towers, and each week there's a tower assigned to that particular week. So that week, for instance, Andy's Auto is assigned exclusively to do all tows during one week, and then the other tower gets it the next week. They alternate. The township ordinance and the contract requires that during the week that they're on, the tower be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There was an